What was that experience like for you learning to do the thing that you'd always thought was an identifiable part of yourself?
I remember going out with a friend of mine who was like, he was a legitimate surfer. And I remember paddling out with him one day and I think I almost blacked out. It was so brutal. Like, it was just not the day to go out. Did not catch a single wave. I just got dumped and thrown around. And he was like, dude, that was not fun. Are you okay? And he's like, man, I've never seen someone just get pulverized so much and have a good time. You must really want to be a surfer. And I was like, man, I'm living my dream.
Yeah,
I'm
doing
the thing.
it.
Yeah, and so I sucked for a good while. Like, it was a good year or two of just being terrible. But for me, I was doing the thing. Like, it was finally, fulfilling a goal I had.
What if the best lessons from school aren't about grades at all, but about how to adapt, take risks, and grow through change? In this episode of More Than a Score, we're joined by Josh Kinder, a surfer, carpenter, team leader, and people-first problem solver, who's learned that success often comes from holding things loosely and backing yourself to try again.
Josh shares how moving schools, chasing waves, that sounds good, Laura, and changing careers shaped his outlook on life. From youth work in construction to leadership and now tech, through his story, we explore the power of curiosity, courage, and learning from every chapter, even the ones that don't go to plan. So, Loz and everyone out there, if you're a parent watching your child navigate uncertainty or someone wondering what's next for yourself, this conversation will remind you that growth doesn't actually follow a straight line all the time, and that trying, learning, and changing course can actually be the most valuable lesson of all.
Nice ad-libbing, Dan.
Thanks, Laura. Look at me go.
I might be a speaker for a living.
Welcome to More Than a Score.
Are you 32?
Yes, a young pa. No, I'm in the growth phase for sure. So we're in the build it, figure it out. I'm still trying on, trying on personas, trying to figure out what life what life looks like for me and who I am in the world, and definitely.
Yeah, you'll get there.
But look, I will say, 32, 33 in a month or so. Day before you, Dan.
Welcome to the club.
Definitely.
Don't pretend you're in the 33 club. I'm not kidding.
You're 39. That's the club. It's like the 33 to 39.
And the 40 is happening in day of
Josh, it's so good. Just welcome to the club, mate. We're not in the 40s. We're okay.
So good to be in your 30s, isn't it? And
I don't remember. I feel like I'm like got dementia or something.
I feel like I was just very busy because I had little babies.
Yeah, you got what, 6 and
8. So I think
goodness me.
So the converse of that is like I do feel like if you ask me where I am now versus last year, I feel like I'm the most stable and the most sure of myself that I've ever been. I think we had kids very young, married very young. I was married at 21, had kids by 24.
Wow.
And then I think I very much settled into like adult life. Yeah, probably 6 years ago when we moved to Melbourne. Prior to that, we were living the live it up life up in Byron Bay, surfing and hanging out at
don't give it all away yet, Josh.
Bars and pubs and whatnot, but don't give it all away. Are we okay now with me sitting this close? I will move my body because this is what
I move all the time and then
I jiggle around.
You jiggle around?
My leg goes numb and then I try and not...
Yeah.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm doing the intro. My name's Dan. I get to do the intro. A very professional one, Joshua. So Josh, lover of people, master at adapting to change and positive risk taker, surfer, carpenter, near pastor/minister.
Correct.
Balance of humility, helpfulness and ambition. A very hands-on dad who loves also playing to your kids' interests. A team leader in construction and tech industries, we'll say that. And then finally, people and problem solver plus a foot down. Joshua, it's lovely to have you here today.
That was beautiful. Can we just clip that and take that away with me? That was...
Put it on your resume.
Yeah.
Everyone just put it onto your LinkedIn.
I was just thinking, can you just write that for my LinkedIn bio? Because ChatGPT did not help me that way.
That was all human too, by the way. It was all Dan Steele. Josh, it's very lovely to have you on More Than a Score. We're so glad you could join us. One of the ways that we normally start is we jump in and ask someone, when you think of the end of your education and you think of that final score, were you happy with the score?
I feel like when you think of the end of your education, when you think of the score, my anxiety just starts to peak because I try to put myself back in my mindset of where I was back then. I typically didn't take my education very seriously, to be honest, and I didn't actually get a score in year 12. I finished year 12 by the grace of teachers, my family, and the Lord above. But yeah, I did not get a score. Yeah, when I think about that period, it definitely, I think about all the fun times and enjoyment I had, but I think it was a period of uncertainty for me. I wasn't sure what was coming for me because, unlike my peers, I wasn't aiming for university or going into apprenticeship, or I didn't really have any direction. So I was just kind of hanging out.
What is the uncertainty and the hanging out like? Help us picture, because you had a smile that popped up on your face just then. Like we could imagine what the uncertainty or just hanging out looked like, so we can get an idea of your school experience.
Yeah, I think we'll probably explore uncertainty with me a little bit when we go into it. But for me, like, my life has always been a bit flexible and a lot of movement, a lot of change, and a lot of uncertainty, and I generally thrive off that and generally enjoy it. So although there was maybe a bit of anxiety around, I don't know that I want to be a physio, or I don't know that I want to be a doctor or a engineer, so I don't know what I'm going to do like my friends. I was generally just excited to be an adult, to get my license, I just wanted to move out. So as soon as I turned 18, I wanted to get out of the house. I wanted to surf. I wanted to explore. So yeah, I think my focus was more on just getting out and living a little bit rather than what was next.
I'm really fascinated to know, so what kept you there to stick through to the end to get the final certificate or completing that? Because it sounds like amongst all the uncertainty, you had lots of different interests and things pulling you. But what kept you at school?
I guess, for me, I had friends who were leaving to do apprenticeships and the like, and that was just never something I wanted to do. Funnily enough, became a carpenter in the end. But at school, I just never thought I was going to be a tradie or anything. And realistically, we moved from Canberra to Sydney when I started year 11. And if I dropped out of school, I wouldn't have known anyone, would have been completely alone in a new state. So I went to school purely for the social aspect in the beginning. And then I think I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed the people. And I just, in my mind, I just knew it was important for me to know that I'd finished year 12, had at least achieved that. I didn't feel I needed to go on any further, but I just wanted to know I achieved that to then sort of lock that season away.
Yeah.
Can I just ask the decision to go non-scored, what did that look like, or to have no score?
To be honest, I was pretty disconnected from the whole process in a sense that we'd moved. So I'd come from what I learned when I arrived in year 11 was somewhat of an alternative school
in Canberra.
And so I arrived at school and I just signed up for whatever they put me in and immediately was overwhelmed. Like, year 11 science was scary, and I was in year 11 physics and I was like, what is this? And I had no idea.
You had no part of that process in terms of the subjects that they selected for you?
Oh, probably, but I was pretty disengaged.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably my parents. That's what I wanted to do. I was like, I don't know, science, that's all right.
Yeah.
So the school I'd been in, to give you some context, they had done sort of an alternative curriculum where so I did science. It was called Science of the Athlete, and I did anatomy, and I did a lot of like physical training and sports type electives.
It's quite niche.
Super niche.
Yeah.
And so then coming to a school where it was very standard, I just like, I did science, I'll do science. And it just wasn't the science I was used to. And the English, I was in like a very drama and creative style English rather than like traditional English. So when I got into an English class and had to do like whatever they were doing at 11, I was so overwhelmed. Even maths, just really overwhelmed. So I think I kind of checked out pretty quickly when I got into school. I was fine. I tested pretty well. I just didn't really engage in the schoolwork. And so I think halfway through year 11, I think there was an option to not have to do some of those intense subjects. Yeah. Pick some more sport-oriented subjects, which was kind of my thing. And so I just went and did that. And knowing that I wasn't trying to go to uni. I also had, I was lucky, I had an older sister who had done something similar. She had graduated with a score but not one she wanted. She'd gone and worked for a year and then found an alternative way to go into teaching. So she became a teacher. Yeah. And so I saw someone in my life who had an alternative route. Yeah. And I thought, I'll just do that if I really get passionate about something. Yeah. But at the time, I didn't have a passion, so it seemed silly to push myself.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So based on what you've said then, because you saw someone else go through that, you knew that seeing it through to get that final sort of certificate that end would still give the option to take some alternative steps either way.
Correct, yeah. So I knew it was important to just get to that point, but then if I wanted to go and do a Cert 4 or something like that, that's what I would need, or that's what I thought. And then if I wanted to go to uni, I could then find it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really curious to hear about, because you moved so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the strengths that you've spoken about before, and even you just touched on that you're really good at adapting to change because of that. But you've got this unique experience about changing and attending a number of different schools.
It's like 3 high schools, right? Every 2 years you move.
2 primary schools, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 high schools, speaking to a lot of people who are like, that's so much change, and across 2 different states, and even the 2 within the same state were quite far apart, and very different socioeconomic backgrounds, each school, and very different schooling experiences at all 3. Yeah, I think for me, it just felt like that's what life was. We, as a family, we moved house every year or 2 with my parents' job, sometimes within the same state and often not. So the change and the meeting new people and new places just felt totally commonplace for me. I know not everyone has that experience when they have to move a lot, but yeah, I think it happened early enough in my life that it became normal, that when it happened later in life, it's fine.
It's interesting. Sorry, I don't want to jump in with you.
It was.
It's interesting to me because I feel like for some people it would be like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to move in 2 years. Why would I invest? Why would I get involved in this? Why would I create friendships? So why did you see that still as important, as worthwhile?
Oh, there's probably a selfish element where it's just more fun if you connect with people.
Yeah.
I think there's obviously been challenges there where I didn't get modeled to me early in life how to maintain long-term connections and long-term friendships. And so I've always found that tricky. I'm really good at the initial interactions. I'm really good at connecting with people, connecting with purpose, connecting with the place, connecting with, getting on board with whatever mission we're doing at work or at school. But in terms of the long-term thinking, probably that's taken some of my older life to start to understand. And
And so how do you do that?
I probably beat myself up about it a lot early on. Now I recognize it's just part of who I am, and probably accepting that that's a strength, and that I don't have to be a lifer anywhere, and I don't have to stick around for forever places. So I think it's been important to recognize that just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong.
But the connection matters.
The connection matters. The connection matters. Connection's really important to me, and people matter. But the long-term same for me is probably never going to be a part of my life, and that's okay. It's a strength.
So you've attended all those different schools. Is there something that's, when you think of the school experience, that's quite common that schools have?
I'm trying to think of something really amicable to say. I was going to say,
You can say whatever you want.
because there's a lot of people, if we're thinking of people that are listening, they'll move for job reasons, they'll have to move. So I think the fact that already a listener has heard, say, I'm having to move my kids and they change schools, well, something that comes from it is you realise how you build up a skill to connect with people. Yeah. Because you have to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been incredibly valuable for my life.
Yeah, but exactly right. And that's a real strength of yours. Yeah. But help them say also, what are the positive or negative?
I guess some of the negatives, I guess, would be that kids are kids, and I think moving to a school and settling into a new place means you're coming into a whole new social environment, and you do have to be really adept at that, shifting and changing and becoming who you need to be or what you need to be in that situation until you can kind of carve out your own little zone, because kids don't love people coming in that are super different. So that is challenging.
Yeah. Can I jump in there? So there's 2 things in there that I really want to try and understand more. So how did you adapt when it worked well? What helped you adapt? And then what helped you, I guess, not overplay so that you stand out too much? Because it sounds like you're wanting to settle. Can you help me understand what helps you?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it in depth, but I think looking back, there's always your basic connection pieces. For me, it was sport. So I was always pretty adept at sport. And so I was able to kind of connect to people using sport. I did learn coming into probably year 11 and 12 that having, being very different and being an individual is okay. And that's when I started to accept who I was as a person, and as a young teen, trying to figure myself out and not really feeling like I fit in the environment that I was placed in, and still feeling accepted. And that place was good.
Okay. So know what your interests are and try and find the people that are in that interest. So for you, it was sports, so trying to connect with the different people.
Yeah.
Then it sounds like you've got this really amazing natural tendency to also just understand that it's okay to be different.
Yeah. I think back to kind of my friendship circle at the time, and we were all so different, which is so interesting. We've all gone so many different paths, and we naturally all just accepted each other's, complete differentness. Yeah, I think that was helpful. That it was a very multicultural school. We all came from very different backgrounds, and we all ended up connecting. So I think that was formative for me.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's so many great pieces of knowledge or skills that you've now got because you've connected with so many different people. To not only change the way that you show up, but also your understanding of the world can look so different too.
Yeah, and that's helped leaving school, and then I moved a lot again. I continued my pattern of moving and exploring and experiencing different parts of Australia and overseas, and taking with me that skill of learning to connect with people. Like, people are people everywhere, and you can always find common ground somewhere. And that skill, I think, I developed in school throughout all that change, and it's been a key factor of who I am as an adult.
It's a nice segue to go to a journey piece about the post school.
So I've got a couple of things now. You correct me if I'm wrong or jump in.
Yeah.
So you left school, moved away from Sydney. You met your wife and got married and lived in Byron Bay and spent
21. Is that right?
Is it 21?
So I moved out at 19, or just before I turned 19, moved to kind of the Cronulla, Sutherland Shire area.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I was always a surfer, but I never lived close to the water. So I was like,
it's not funny. It's like an identity piece that never you able
crazy.
to. Yeah.
I grew up in Canberra, the furthest place ever
Yeah.
in the ocean, and my wall was just covered in surfing pictures. I'd never surfed in my life. I was like, I am a surfer.
I love this.
Which is so funny. And so then as soon as I got a car and I could escape, I moved as close as I could possibly afford as a young 19-year-old. At the time, I was mostly volunteering, so I didn't have much money. But I needed to live close enough to the water to surf. So I taught myself to surf and claimed that identity for myself.
What was that experience like for you, learning to do the thing that you'd always thought was an identifiable part of yourself? What was that like?
I remember going out with a friend of mine who was he was a legitimate surfer. And I remember paddling out with him one day, and I think I almost blacked out. It was so brutal. It was just not the day to go out. After he came in, and I was just beaming, smiling. I did not catch a single wave. I just got dumped and thrown around.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, that was not fun. Are you okay?
Yeah.
And I was I was just so happy. And he's like, man, I've never seen someone just get pulverized so much and have a good time. You must really want to be a surfer. And I was like, man, I'm living my dream.
I'm doing the thing.
Yeah. And so I sucked for a good while. It was a good year or two of just being terrible. But for me, I was doing the thing. It was finally, fulfilling a goal I had. Yeah.
Just asking for a friend. What makes you a legitimate surfer? Just so that this friend might know when they're finally legitimate. Just asking.
Your real kind of board riders guys are going to absolutely not agree with me. But for me, that day, I was like, this is it. I'm a surfer. I did it. I think if you
not
love
catching one wave.
So I have to go get pulverized by waves, and then I can walk. My friend can walk around and say they're legitimate.
I think it's just loving it. I think being out there, I then went on to surf a lot more, and the waves got bigger and bigger, and I got a little bit better. Still not very good, but still my favorite days are just being out on a longboard with my mates in very calm water. For me, it was all about being out there and having a good time. And I think if you enjoy it, then you're a surfer.
I had a student who was a really beautiful writer, and she was always too nervous or too self-conscious to call herself a writer. Oh. And I said, but are you writing? She goes, yeah. I said, well, if you're doing it, what's the difference between the verb and the noun, right? If I'm writing, I am a writer. If I'm creating art, then I'm an artist, right? And I love that you were like, I'm a surfer. You'd never gone out there. I actually really love the confidence in that just because it hasn't found me yet, it will. I have confidence. It's coming. It's going to be part of my identity. I think a lot of people don't have that confidence to call themselves the thing.
Yeah.
I find that really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have always been a little bit too confident, and I tend to identify with things before they're a reality for me, and it's worked so far. I'll probably keep doing it.
I like that.
Let that go.
Yeah.
I'm probably pretty quick to identify as something before I am that something.
So you can picture yourself doing it.
Yeah.
That sounds like we're talking off air about that ability to live in the future.
Yeah.
And sometimes in leadership, that's a key part. You can picture the future, you lead, and then your job's to bring people along.
What were you saying? You were talking about the idea you can feel it. You can feel when things are done, or you can feel when things are needing change, even though you can't see the change, the feeling is enough to propel you. That's what you were saying, Dan.
Yeah. I know when I was leading schools, like I could feel and experience it really deeply what the difference would look like for the kids or being in the classroom. So therefore that kept me more motivated, which helped me better communicate that to my staff, which was more likely to get them on board. So I can really resonate with you. You see yourself already picturing yourself surfing, so then you've sort of already done it. So when that's probably why there's
for sure. Yes, in my I've watched every TV show and every video clip of surfers, so I basically am one. I just need to get one underneath my feet. Yeah,
I love that.
But I think it's the same as an adult in leadership and in work. It's become an identity thing where I tend to try to picture what a leader would look like that would be behaving that way. I try to imagine what their behavior is, and then I just copy that. It's the same sort of identity piece in that I see myself as that before I am that, and I start behaving as if I was that, and then eventually I become that.
It's really interesting because sport's a big thing for Josh, and there's that research around the power of really clear visualization that sports teams use. It sounds like that's almost a bit of a strategy.
Yeah, I 100% visualize success or achievement or specific goals that I'm heading for. I picture and imagine I'm already there, and then I act as if I've already got that thing.
Isn't that like the premise of manifestation or something? Isn't that that kind of idea? Is that what it is?
I think that it's funny. I think manifestation is like there's two types. I think there's the type where people just go like, I am rich, and then they go and spend all their money expecting money.
Okay.
That's not great. Don't do that. But I think definitely behaving as if you have the skills, the characteristics that person or that position might have. Like if it's wealth, then maybe you become really fiscally responsible. You start budgeting, you start tracking your income versus your expenditure. That's something that someone who's really wealthy and that is really successful would do, rather than going spending money getting credit cards.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, James Clear, I think in Atomic Habits talks about, because if you're trying to create new habits, one way to manage that change is you picture what would this person do. That's the actions you start to take, and eventually you sustain it, and it becomes a part of what you do.
Your identity.
But Loz, you want to keep talking?
I do. I also want to preface the fact that we are on school holidays, and so if you hear some little footsteps and little voices, we are doing our best. We are multitasking. We just sent the kids back up with a platter. So
great job.
They're sorted. I really like the way that you did.
I'm like, you can just turn that around, kids, back upstairs.
I think great smile, but a very stern.
Yes, they're up there with boxes making a hotel, I think, currently.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anyway.
They're busy.
So you're in Byron Bay with your wife, and then you're kind of figuring yourselves out. Like you're 21, doing the things, living the Byron Bay lifestyle, and then you're like, I need some money.
Yeah.
So you go into construction despite the fact that was never the path, never wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And you describe yourself as a terrible tradie.
Terrible.
Tell me about it.
So, I mean, to give some context, prior to that, we were living together when we first got married in Sutherland for about a year before we shifted up north. We went to Byron for our honeymoon, and we fell in love with it, so we just wanted to go back.
Are you those people? Like every time I go on a holiday, I'm like, we could live here. We could live here. You actually did it.
And then we do it all the time.
Oh,
yeah, it's like that's exactly us. We're like, oh, we should live there, and then we do. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
So we did that environment. Like, this is great. We can just move here, and so we met some people, and they said, you can come move in with us. Well, okay, let's do that. So we moved into a share house with someone we met one night. That year later, it's pretty wild, but it was
great. What do you do in your early 20s? So it's like, no danger here.
This is why I said positive risks take risks.
We knew them, and they knew some people we knew. Like they seemed safe, and they were great people in the end. So sorry, I got really sidetracked there.
No.
About being a terrorist tradie.
So I got on the tools a little bit in Sydney because I was at the time a youth pastor, so I worked in churches. That doesn't pay very much, so I needed some extra money. And I had a friend who was a carpenter who said I could go do some work for them. I was reasonably fit and healthy, so I could carry things and dig holes and stuff, but I didn't really enjoy it. I then got an opportunity to get an apprenticeship up in Byron, and at the time I needed money and I was washing dishes, and that seemed like it would be a better option. There was also that piece where I wanted to start a family. I wanted to become more responsible and build a life for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't see any way to do that. And so a trade just kind of made sense.
Yeah.
So I think a little bit of that whole surfer identity, I kind of tried to adopt the identity of a tradie and do that thing. Day one, realizing that was definitely not for me. But that's okay. I made it through my apprenticeship.
It's amazing when you realize there's sort of the ideals and what you're hoping for, and then there's also having to balance it against the real
reality of it.
The reality of it all.
Yeah, so I guess that when I say I wasn't good at it or I didn't like it, I learned really early on that I was really interested in the process. I worked for an amazing builder in Byron Bay. They built luxury homes up there, and it was about as perfect experience for a young person who wants to be a carpenter could be. We built these luxury properties on the beach in Byron. I got to surf before and after work. It's just the best lifestyle ever. But I just learned early on that I wasn't really interested in building the thing, but I was really interested in why. So why do we use that tool? Why do we use that screw? Why do we dig that deep? Why do we use that pole? I was really interested in the problems that came up and how to solve them. But as an apprentice, my bosses were not encouraging of me thinking or trying to solve problems. They were like, shut up and dig the hole, which, there's just so much value in that. And so I did that. But the second I could, I got out of there to try to go solve problems. Yeah.
And you've said this before, so you had a real interest in problem solving, but then also people. Talk me through the moment when you realized, like a really clear moment when you had that realization that it was more about wanting to problem solve and help people or work with people rather than being on a trade or on the tools.
So funny, one of the real drivers for me to become a tradie was I was working in a Christian setting and I really wanted to go and do overseas work and help developing countries. And I'd done a bunch of trips overseas where I was completely and utterly useless and realized, like, what change am I going to affect? Like, how am I helping people? And there were people over there who were nurses and doctors and builders who were actually physically helping people overseas. And I just loved the idea of doing that, but I had no skills to offer. I was just a random kid. So that was one of the drivers for me to go be a carpenter, because I wanted to help people. So that was always in the back of my mind. I will go do this and then I'll have a skill set to then help people. The problem solving, people stuff and not wanting to be on the tools anymore was a distinct moment where I was sanding. I remember sanding this beam and I was working with this lovely old guy and we were working on this huge hardwood timber beam, beautiful timber beam for this gorgeous house. We were overlooking the ocean, best day for a tradie realistically. And I was sanding it and I looked down and he was doing the same thing as me. And I knew he earned about $15 an hour more than me and he was in his late 50s. And I was just like looking at this thing going and looking at him like I will be, and absolutely no shade to him, beautiful human, and he was living his dream life. But for me, I was like, already I hate this. I'm not going to start loving it in my 50s. Like I need to change.
Yeah.
As me and my wife went out for burgers that night, we decided we were going to change, and that night I applied for a project management job, and 2 weeks later I got a job and we moved to Melbourne. So it was rapid.
It's amazing.
That is amazing.
I'm already picking up, so there's a real thread of change within this. So as you think of, and as you said out loud, all the different change that's occurred from primary school all the way through school, after school, you adapting, changing. I'm thinking of the person that's listening to this or their child in high school. Change is something that we're all going to get affected by. What are the key things you've discovered from all that change?
I think, as we've probably touched on a little bit before, realizing that like I have an appetite for change. I have an appetite for new experiences and new opportunities, and I probably changed myself for that because the archetype of success is you go to uni for 4 years, you get a job in that industry, and you work in that industry, and you retire. That's what you do. Typically, that was an old archetype. Realizing that my appetite for change, new and exciting, and problems and helping is okay. So I think that's probably number one, was like accepting that is, it's actually a skill, it's a strength, and it's okay that my rubric for life looks a bit different. I don't know if that answered.
Yeah, I think it does. Well, do you mind if I ask one follow-up?
Yeah.
So what helps when you've had a really successful change? What's helped you?
What's helped me with a really successful change? I think a mentality to hold things loosely and not be tied to success or failure. So it doesn't matter if the change is specifically from the outside looking in or mathematically is a win or a loss. It's about like, I really thoroughly enjoyed that journey. So it sounds super, trite or whatever to say it's not about the destination, about the journey, but it is for me, like the journey from job to job or school to school, whether materially it looks better or worse doesn't matter. It's about what I'm learning on the way and that process and the growth. I assume that might settle at some point, but at the moment I don't mind if it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for a parent, if they're watching their kids go through different jobs, they're all things, but it's over a bigger, longer term. It sounds like for you, the process. And it's a cliche because it probably makes sense and it's true, right? Yeah. But it's being able to zoom out and see that it's all adding up to bigger things.
Yeah, and like for me, that it's, you couldn't be more right about that. It all adds up because if I look at all my shifts over the last maybe 7, 8, even 9, 10 years, they all add up. If you zoom right out, it all adds up to this really succinct story that makes a lot of sense. And I am exactly where I am, and I would have needed all of those things to get to where I am. Like nothing, if removing any of those would have meant that this period or this ability wouldn't be there and it wouldn't make sense. Yeah, so it is all a part of an overall narrative when you zoom out, but it's hard to see it when you're in the moment, when you're going through the change. But I think, that's something I always remind myself is a bit of a motto for my life is to hold things loosely. I tend to try to remind myself whenever I'm clinging to something that I need to kind of let that thing run through my fingers. I always picture like sand in my hands. Like that's how I try to hold on to things like, material wins, losses, locations, all that stuff is like, it'll come, it'll go. But generally there's an overall flow to life.
I feel like that sometimes too, about the idea of holding things. And when you realize you're doing it, I always ask myself, what would it feel to let go?
Yeah.
And generally the feeling is relief.
Relief, yeah. Yeah.
It's a really funny, I never forget, we were trying to get to Queensland. This is a very bit of a tangent. We were trying to get to Queensland. It was 2022. We were all still in, or 2021, we we're all still in the COVID madness. We'd never had COVID. And school term finished. And I was so desperate. I was doing everything just to get to Queensland. And my daughter woke up the night before with a temperature. We did the COVID test. She had COVID. Oh. And I was just like, well, it's here now. Yeah. We've all got COVID. We're not going to Queensland. It's not happening. And there was actually, like, I'd tried so hard to get us there. And once I realised we weren't going, I was like, really? Oh, well. Yeah. And it's so funny. It's so funny. Like, and I always try to ask myself that question, like, what would it feel like if I let that go? Yeah.
There's a bit of acceptance and detachment there.
There is. You're just like, what am I like?
Yeah, I find that with like even things like emotions or like I'll have little inner goals. Like I really want to get to this. And I'm like, oh, why? Like that's been an important part of my journey is like examining why things are important. Why is that such an important goal? Or why is that like beliefs? Why is that belief so strongly held? Why am I clinging to that? Like, what if I just let it go for a bit? Like, why not? It'll come back. Yeah. And if it doesn't, then that's okay. And yeah.
So given all that, then Josh, I'm wondering about what success looks like to you. Yes, Laura, did I jump in with the
yes, but can I frame it a different way, please? Because I've got it here.
Lady or superpower?
I just wanted to ask
you. You're succinct. That's something like everything you said so far has been very succinct.
Oh, thank you. I'm just doing it as a compliment.
No, you do. No, that wasn't the podcast. It's succinct. That was clear. Yeah. No, Dan, you've got us.
No.
You are fishy. I'll talk to you later.
I've written down here that you said that school conditioned you to see success as pass or fail. Clearly, you've reframed that. I'd love your advice because I think that in the system that is education, there is a lot of emphasis around pass fail. And as you said, there's a conditioning to that. How do you reframe that for someone still in that system, still experiencing those things?
Yeah. I don't think it's just the school system. Like it's easy to bag on them, but I think it's just
it's one system,
world.
Right?
Yeah, I think the world generally does enforce this kind of win or lose mentality, and there's nothing wrong with winning and trying to be better and trying to achieve and trying to succeed. But I think as you get older, the concept of what success is a much bigger, much more nuanced concept that I think most people wrestle with until they are no longer wrestling. I think for me, success when I think about it in the terms of like school and education and maybe career in the traditional senses, for me, it comes down to passion, effort, and meaning. So I need to find something that I'm passionate about, that I believe has some sort of, is taking some sort of problem and solving some sort of problem or is making some sort of impact at a larger level, so it has meaning and that I can apply effort to. And for me, if I'm ticking those 3 boxes, then I find myself in a really content place. And that content, like for me, being in that state of like flow and contentedness, that's success. Whether there's a win or a loss at the end of that, materially doesn't really matter because, once you've realized the game, you're immediately like, what's next anyway? So, when you get the big win, you hit that goal and the next challenge, what is that? So for me, being in that state of I'm making an impact, I'm addressing something meaningful, this is effortful and I can apply some serious effort to this, which is where I find the enjoyment, and I'm passionate and inquisitive, and it's kind of lighting up that excitement part of me where I feel like I can continue to learn and grow. So those three, passion, meaning and effort.
I love that. I feel like that's what this podcast is for us, actually.
Yeah. Meaning and effort. Awesome.
I think it is. Yeah.
To be really succinct, Josh, so how do you articulate that to your kids?
Oh man.
And your kids are how old, just to give some
My
reference?
kids are 6 and 8. I'm not succinct. I'm not good at articulating myself. I don't have the ability to wrap up concepts and communicate them very well. So you guys are both teachers. That's like your thing, is how do we kind of dial that in and communicate it. That's something I probably don't do very well in a succinct manner, but I think we do that through our actions. I think one thing I say to my kids all the time is be kind, be strong.
That's our family motto.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So we have actions that go with it.
I love that.
We said be kind, be strong, be here.
Or I think we'll get a little video, I reckon, to show Josh doing the action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe my kids or something.
Instagram, it's coming.
But be kind, be strong, be here is something we say all the time. And I think those, for kids, I think that's success. So it's maybe something similar to, meaning, passion and effort. I guess kindness, strength, and presence is super important. And they could, those are all verbs, they're things that they can do. So they can focus on being present, they can focus on being kind, and they can focus on effort and being strong and getting to the tough times. Yeah.
I love that, because it's less about you guys telling them if they're good enough. Like a lot of the time with parenting or even teaching, kids look to us to say, am I doing the right thing? Whereas you're sort of giving them sort of nice guiding principles that help them work out what it looks like for them. Yeah,
and I've got 2 very different kids who are on very different journeys. My daughter's homeschooled and she's got her own journey that she's on, and she's a ball of joy and excitement and energy. My son is a very deep thinker, wants to, probably similar to myself, wants to talk everything through, wants to explore every avenue and question everything. And I think for them, it's just about encouraging them to keep being who they are, be kind, be strong. Yeah.
I like the be here piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those 3 things are mostly for me. As in when I tell them, it's just reminding myself.
Yeah.
Because
that's what most parenting is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's reminding
I
yourself.
remind myself to be present, be kind, be strong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nowadays we've got so much technology and things set up that pull us away. So the fight is always, am I actually here? Physically, and am I also mentally?
Yeah, the fight for our attention's massive. Yeah.
We've talked about I think I actually heard this in Kristen Bell, is the idea of the phone or the technology being a trick. That its whole purpose is to take your attention and to pull you away. And so my kids are really good now at being like, Mom, you're on the trick. I'm like, you're getting tricked. I'm like, and creating distinction between, no, I'm actually working and it's purposeful, versus you're right, I'm literally being drawn into some absolute trash that does not deserve my time or attention. So I feel like they're really good at being like, it's the trick, Mum. I'm like, you're right.
This is a weird aside from this, but the whole advent of working flexibly has I think has added to that. For me, I have quite flexible working hours, which then means realistically work just takes up more of my life.
That's interesting.
I feel like I can always work. So the ability to always just whip out my phone and quickly flick off an email or respond to something.
Dan's doing a big nod.
Yeah,
you're a similar worker, similar type of worker.
So it's amazing because I'm around my kids more, but I'm also around them working more. The defined limits of what my work life looks like. I don't come home and put my bag down at 5 and go, all right, Dad's home. I'm now disconnected. It's more, I'm just around all the time and I'm also always working. And
around more distracted maybe.
Yeah. So I wonder if, I don't know yet, if it's more beneficial for me to be away and working and then present and not.
That's interesting.
So given the idea around that passion, effort and meaning, so I'm really interested to hear, looking forward. So what's the next thing? Because you're someone that's also quite ambitious. You love learning. You like making sense. I'm moving my hands wildly in the air just now.
In the non-visual medium.
Yes, exactly right. Dear listener, just picture myself waving wildly. So given all those 3, What's the next thing that you're looking to go further in, or the next skill, or the next thing that you're learning and diving into?
Well, I did just resign from my role at the company I'm at. This is my last day today, so
He's brought it on to where I'm glad, as you said, this is really exciting, and it's change, right? A new change. You're embracing it.
Yeah. So I'm embracing change for sure at the moment. And again, nothing that I haven't done before, in the sense that I'm always excited and very keen to change and to push myself into new areas. The role I've been in has been amazing. It's been one of my favorite jobs I've ever had, and I love the team that we've built there, and the experience and the culture that we've built. And it's been an absolute blessing the last year. It's at a place now where I can move away and know it's in safe hands, which is like my favorite thing ever, to be able to leave somewhere really well and be really proud of what we've achieved and what they're going to continue to achieve. So I'm in a pretty traditional management type role in the construction industry, and I'm moving into a tech role, which is something that is completely outside of my skill set. I'll be moving into a software sales role, which is just not something I've ever done before, but with a group of people that I truly believe in, I guess, who they are, their ability to solve a problem. I believe in the product that they have, and I'm just really excited to be on board with them. So new challenges, new things. Yeah, it's
that new process, isn't it? It's less about the thing and more about this, what you're going to learn through doing the process.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I tend to weigh up pros and cons of things a lot, and I've been wrestling with this for a while, and it just got down to that, like, it'd just be silly not to. Like, it'd almost be, it would be irresponsible not to make this decision, just for the sheer growth opportunity and the people and the apprenticing of doing something new again and challenging myself is really exciting. So.
It sounds really, really exciting. I really resonate with that. So we often talk about, why wouldn't you try? That's a mantra that I got in my family. When I was a kid, we got told as well. Exactly right. And you got the backing of your family too, and you make this calculated choice as well. Also sounds like it played to your strengths. Like, you're a people person. You're so good at building relationships and connecting with people.
Yeah. I think it's like being a carpenter was a seasonal thing for me. I did it. I learned the thing. I enjoyed lots of aspects. I was very lucky, but I knew it was never for me. Being a corporate style manager, again, I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. I think I was quite successful, but I knew this is just not really for me. And I think I've just been inching more and more towards maybe more of who I am my whole career. Yeah, even that, it's that experiencing and growing and learning new skills and developing new things and trying out new opportunities it's very exciting.
And slowly learning what you don't want to do while refining what you're also really great at too.
Yeah, that's a huge piece of adult life that I don't teach you in school, that a lot of your I think your 20s should be spent figuring out. I think you should go out there and have a real crack in your 20s and figure out what you can do that other people can't. But I think also what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
You can do a whole lot of stuff that you probably don't want to do. Could have been a carpenter for a long time. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things I'm well adept at that I don't love. And if you have maybe the privilege to be able to do that and try and fail, then do that as best you can.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of pressure in your 20s to feel like you've got to have it figured out. And I actually think that decade is such, it should be a really liberating, experimental decade of just give it a go. You've got generally little ties, little financial responsibilities, and it's a good opportunity. I think that we probably need to frame it more that way, but we don't.
Yeah, I think it is, and hats off and full credit to people who leave high school and they're like, I remember I've got one friend who, when we were in school, he wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force. He's like, I'm going to be a pilot in the Air Force. And he was not a pilot. He left school and became a pilot in the Air Force. It's exactly what he wanted. And looks like he has absolutely fulfilled a dream.
Yeah.
And I have so much admiration for that.
Yeah.
But there's, I think, a large cohort of kids that's just not the case. They just don't have that sort of direction.
Yeah.
And I think, framing that your 20s, you can go and try, like, become an apprentice in your 20s. When I say apprentice, I don't mean like trading.
Yeah.
I mean, find people to apprentice under, whether that's, businesses.
Yeah.
If you don't want to go to uni, go look for a business that you love, or look for a person that you admire in media or wherever, and just try to get in with them.
Yeah.
Offer your services.
Yeah.
Where you maybe don't have the financial responsibilities yet.
Yeah.
And play to the thing you're really good at and get really great at that.
Yeah. And then in your 30s, you get to build and capitalize financially, and you can do that later. You don't have to be, 21-year-old tight in industry. You can wait.
You can wait, and you can get there. Yeah.
It's tough. There's plenty of time.
Thank you so much, Josh. Really appreciate you being on the pod. It was so lovely to meet you. I mean, you've got a much more varied background with Dan, but I got to meet you today, so it was so lovely.
Dan, you were very systematic.
Oh, do we high five now?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Come on.
Yes, that was good.
Thank you. Thank you.